Mr. Krishnamoorthi is now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everybody. Mr. Shum, here's a very nice picture of you, your son Ariston, and your former wife Whitney. And Whitney, by some accounts, was the richest businesswoman in China. And in 2017, the CCP took her hostage after Xi Jinping came to power and purged his opponents. Isn't that right?
That's right.
In your book, Red Roulette, you exposed widespread coercion and corruption associated with doing business in China. And so the CCP tried to stop you from publishing this book. And the way that they did it is they basically had Whitney call you on the eve of publication in 2021 and hinted that you or your son Ariston's safety was in danger. Isn't that right?
That's right.
Let's dive a little bit into why the CCP wanted to silence you. In your book, you recounted an argument with Whitney where she wanted to keep investing in China, but you wanted to invest outside of China. In fact, you wrote, quote, "The party thinks nothing of confiscating property. What the party gives, it can take away." Mr. Shum, obviously, your wife was arbitrarily seized in 2017. But if you fall on the wrong side of the CCP, your assets can be arbitrarily seized. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Because of this arbitrariness, and I think in your written statement you said that there is no rule of law in China, it turns out that a lot of people are voting with their feet and leaving China. The Washington Post just recently said that 300,000 people left China last year, which they called a brain drain. And China ended up being the world's #1 exporter of high net worth individuals, with almost 14,000 millionaires leaving last year. It turns out money is leaving the country too. I want to point you to a chart about Hong Kong. If you could put it up on the big screen too. In 2020, as soon as the CCP imposed the national security law in Hong Kong, which restrains various freedoms there, including the right to even criticize the CCP, investment in Hong Kong plummeted. You see that, right, Mr. Shum?
Yes.
Why did that happen in Hong Kong?
Hong Kong become one of the major wealth management centers of the world over the last decade. The reason is all Chinese money. It's people like us, we always have this fight in the past, is how much do I put money outside so it's safe from the CCP, and how much I invest in the growth economy. So with Xi Jinping, he basically, the China's economic model has run its course, and then his policy exacerbated the issue. And so people are running with their money at the moment.
So they're voting with their feet and they're voting with their wallets.
Absolutely.
And now it looks like the CCP is trying to cover up the facts on the ground in China. I want to point you to one final chart, if you could put that up. And Mr. Kazi, I think that you were kind of alluding to this. In this chart between 2012 and 2016, the number of public indicators regarding the economy has plummeted from 80,000 that are published by the government down to 40,000 in 2016. And from 2016 onwards, it's going down rapidly. So, Mr. Kazi, is it fair to say that when the CCP is trying to hide the reality of the economy from investors, that investors, American or otherwise, including investors, by the way, in China, are at great risk?
Yes, absolutely.
And why is that?
Look, China is becoming an information desert. You can't invest if you don't know the basic data, right? And how every sector is performing and so on and so forth. Look at how much data we rely on just this country alone. When you don't have access to the right information, you'll make the wrong investments, they'll backfire, or you'll start to speculate and, of course, create all sorts of problems there.
It seems to me that the CCP is arbitrarily seizing people, arbitrarily seizing assets, it's arbitrarily snatching away freedoms. And so, to me, the American people need to see this, and American businesses need to see the reality of what's happening now. and they've got to put the days of blindly shipping innovation and jobs to China behind them. Thank you, and I yield back.